I've got a small private practice, and most of my income generating work activities, I call it, is in the corporate world. And the way I've integrated all these, well, for me it's all these different parts of myself and how I could express this in the corporate world, was around seeing that the corporate world is where the money is, where the power is, which drives a lot of people's behavior, which often holds the consciousness of a lot of people. And what I was seeing, my previous career in the corporate world, I was seeing a lot of people feeling very alienated or experiencing alienation from themselves, from their families, kind of as they clocked in at work, they were leaving a large chunk of themselves outside, and became part of a network of people of, I don't know what to call it, it's not a movement, it sounds quite clandestine, but a group of facilitators, call it, global facilitators. That's, loosely we call it wanting to bring spirituality into, or spirit into business. And that's obviously interpreted in a million different ways. So I thought what might be useful is just to talk through some examples of how we work in South Africa. And two particular examples I'll share, because they're quite different. The first one is a coal mine. And it's a coal mine that's had been through all its productivities and efficiencies, and they were making lots of money. And the CEO of this coal mine wanted to, for him, what was the next thing was to focus on how he could develop his people. The majority of people were frontline men, mostly illiterate, probably 4 years of formal education. And he wanted to provide an experience for his people which would not only make their lives much more pleasant, but they would be able to bring all of themselves or more of themselves to work. Where he recognized actually also that if they were going to remain globally competitive, that's all the wisdom and knowledge of how they could improve their mining relies on people actually doing their work. So how does he harness all that energy in a way that's not exploitative, but in a way that allows people to express their creativity? So it wasn't just a do-gooder. He wanted to actually also make more money and stay globally competitive. And so we designed a program which took everybody, the whole organization, which is about 10,000 people, something around that, a little less than 10,000, through a workshop, a mindfulness workshop, what we can call it that. It's really skilling people around getting an understanding of themselves. How do they behave, and why do they behave in that way, and what can they do about it? So if there is something that they're not happy around their own behavior. And very quickly, so after about an hour, we would leave work behind and it would be focused on the individual. So what are the sorts of things we'd say, like you're getting feedback from work colleagues, from your family members, and stuff that you're not really happy about, your behavior? And we'd then do that and work for the next 2 days around how can we shift that? What are some of the skills we can use? Some very simple mindfulness skills that we can use to recognize, oh, this behavior doesn't work for me. It got me into trouble last time. Maybe there's another possibility. Maybe I have a choice in this. It opens up a whole range of possibilities for the way I can feel, the way I can act in my life. One of those was a very simple meditation practice, which most people said, come on, these guys are like, very in Maslow's hierarchy, they're level 1 survival needs. They want to earn enough money just so that they can survive. What is meditation going to help them? And it was awesome. Having groups of 60, 80 people and teaching them a very simple mindfulness practice. Just sitting and being quiet. And this, for so many people, was like the biggest gift we could give them. And certainly in the consulting world, this is not necessarily orthodox practice. And what is interesting is the feedback. We're doing this whole process. It's very labor intensive. You can imagine taking 10,000 people through it, and we want to do it properly. And this company invested a lot of money, so we spread it out over a long time to make sure we're not just doing bulk, like thousands of people at the same time. We probably finished, well, they're ongoing now, but we've probably finished the bulk of those workshops about almost a year ago. And we've started doing follow-ups. I mean, it's too early to say how sustainable the results are. But in the 6-month follow-up, it was amazing. The difference in some dimension, a whole lot of dimensions, which we had measured about 3 years ago, and then like 2 years ago, and now a year. How people have shifted. Obviously, it depends on the culture of the organisation as well that they're going back into, and that's also a lot of the work that we've done. So that's in very simple, in a very simple way. That's for me one example how we applying transpersonal, what do we call it, practices, spiritual practices.